Hello, my name is Neville. I'm from Nicaragua. And kind of trying to explain some difficulties that I have running Fedora. And I want to start by giving the idea of my relationship with Fedora, some examples of problems that I have run out, and some ideas of why I have problems or why I can use this software that I want to use, and I don't know, some ideas. I hope that at the point there are some other ideas that can be shared. So here I am. And we have this user base that most likely will be changing with the Fedora workstation, that is most likely than became kind of the target audience for the Fedora workstation. But at this moment, what we have publicly available is this user base. And of course, it was a kind of a argument because we are moving into Fedora next.
Here's the current version. And you do the scan here,
So
these are the things that
I voluntarily switched to Fedora around Fedora 4. I installed Red Hat 6.2 by my own. I have a problem with the computer network that was running some novel network services in the campus that I would do in my master degree, and I solved it by installing Linux. I have been collaborating with Fedora since 2008, and I am a business administration. I do my day-to-day work using Fedora. So I kind of feel fit really well this user base, or in the future, this workstation. And I am not a programmer. I have been trying to learn, but actually I have been doing so many talks, introductory talks in Nicaragua that take my time, and then I don't have time for learning. I am not a system administrator. I am not a system analyst. But in the end, probably I'm not that smarter than people around here. I have been find that the most smart people that I have met are in the Fedora project, and probably it's because I can see that they are smarter than me. And well, we have under 1 hour, so probably it's not good to try to fix things here and talk later about the fixes. And let's get some examples done. The first thing that I get really frustrated about was the typing break. It's an accessibility feature. Apparently some people doesn't feel the same way. My mom is 73 years old. She suffered from polio when she was a toddler, and I need her to get away of the computer to take a rest instead of being there the whole day, the whole afternoon. But it was removed from NOM in October 2010. And it was not actually removed, and because of that, was not really visible, available in Fedora 15. But the application that runs the typing break is this Dr. Wright, and it's not really widely known. And it was upgraded to be running into GNOME Shell 3, GNOME Shell or GNOME 3, and the package is in the repositories. So after going, I find this package and I run it, and nothing happened. And I was kind of frustrated because it was not working. And then I have a pop-out message from GNOME saying that he's going to give me a break in 2 minutes, and he was offering me to configure. And when I click configure, I have this panel for control the whole system, and it was not there. Well, I was looking for that before, so it's kind of weird. And I don't feel alone in this, because there was this initiative for Global Summer of Code in September 2013 that somebody proposed to do a typing break solution for GNOME. I don't know why GNOME and Ubuntu person were looking into GNOME instead of Unity, but it was done for GNOME. And the problem was that it was using the Ubuntu name for libraries. So it was really beyond me to change for the right library in the make install file. But what I'm trying to say with this is I am not alone. People that running the whole summer of code, what was lost, that there is an application for that. So this is kind of my first example, and there is an application for amateur radio that is called gridlock, and actually it calculates where you are and where is other people. I show the distance and the bearing, and for amateur radio there is also useful to know the other way around. You have the short path and the longest path around the world, and it offers a connection with X-Planet. And when I hit X-Planet connection, it can find the config library, and I was able to run X-Planet by myself, but I don't know why it didn't work. And I have to admit that only tested this in GNOME, so I don't know if this is working in another desktop, another like XFCE or LXD, I don't know. Other thing that I really destroyed one installation. Happily I have a backup before I start fiddling with the file system, but LVM is the default file system, and system config LVM was discontinued. I really agree that somebody is tired of doing something and might go away and leave some orphan package, but it was supposed to be replaced, but none did. And this really don't have all the functionalities that we want, and I really find the commands for configuring, setting, changing LVM file system really complex. It's really beyond my expertise. And as I say, I destroyed one installation, and since then I keep installing with the regular ext4 partitions. Anaconda is getting better and better every time, and I have find some issues when it came to reclaim space, not because Anaconda, but because the older system, when you are trying to make a dual boot setup, and as an ambassador I am being requested to do that a lot of time in install phase on talks, because people is just migrating and want to have a failed option. What happens if I cannot do all the things that I want, or I'm not really ready and I need to get things done immediately, I am not really into learning when doing. And it's not included in the DVD media, and I understand that, well, I kind of accept that fact when a live media was a CD and they are fighting for space, but now in a DVD there is plenty of space, and I don't know. And there are other spins that is including G-parted, and I think that is really useful. I don't know, at some point I was kind of having an Ubuntu live media to get the G-parted things done and then get back to install Fedora. Then I find out about that G-part is in another spin, so I keep having two CDs, but it can be done, but I don't feel it's the right way, and especially when I'm doing an install, I have to be juggling with different CDs to make an install, so the people that is looking me doing the install is kind of worried what I'm doing. So I have this very special situation. I have internet in my office and I have internet in my home, and I don't feel that I need internet while I am driving from home to work or back, or that I need internet when I go to the movie, and I hate to be with somebody that is WhatsApping when we're having lunch together, so I don't feel the need for having an internet connection all the time. So I get this 3G modem for going to events and having internet in places that might be internet, but it's really sucked because we are all nerds and kept using the small connection. So I have my own connection and I only use that for events. But I have this weird thing about sending a message and getting a reply with the options, selecting the option that I'm going to use 24 hours or only 2 hours or whatever. And I have to wait for confirmation. If I don't get the confirmation, I don't get the connection. And I have to start over sometimes. So I tried kind of a lot of things like non-font manager, and in Fedora 15 it has a conflict between libraries that were not updated in the non-font manager, and I report a book about that. And after that was fixed, I get this thing about that the non-font manager is default to a Bluetooth connection, and it does not acknowledge the config that has to look for. So I can't keep changing my configuration file and it doesn't work. And there is a modem manager and it conflicts with network manager, which can be worked around, like stop network manager and run the modem manager, and when you are done, get back to the settings, or you can erase your 3G connection and run the modem manager. This is kind of awkward. And there is an application that is the graphical user interface for Nokia that it works sending messages, but I don't get the messages back. So I've been trying a lot. Sir?
Sorry for interrupting. The modem manager seems to be installable in Fedora 20 next to.
Oh, I think this one is with a dash in between the words, and the one with that comes with network manager is without the dash. It's a different application, right?
I am not sure about.
Otherwise, it wouldn't conflict if it were the same. So it must be a different application.
Well, the thing is that I make a Joom modem grep. Manager. So if there is a modem manager without the dash, I will find it with the dash or without the dash.
Yeah, but network manager comes with a independent application called Modem Manager, but it doesn't do what you say here, so it's something different.
Well, this one has a panel for sending and receiving mail.
Yeah.
So I ended up using Noki, just plain Noki in the command line, and it's kind of not that nice because after sending the message, I have to be running the folder status to see if I have a new message, and after I saw that I have the new message, I can't read the message, but it's kind of trying until
there's no notification.
There is no notification, and when I was asking about this, I get this nice suggestion now. Why you don't run a SQL backend with Nokia? And I was kind of, why I don't open my cell phone and switch the SIM cards? It's kind of overkill solution, and I kind of get a lot of suggestions that are overkill for when I can not do something that is simple. And I have this batch resize image that I want to make thumbnails, or I want a small image because my camera has a high resolution, and if you are putting some pictures on the web, you only need kind of 800 by 600. So what I did was to came up with this ugly one-liner. This is mine. I really took a lot of time to put it together, and every time that I'm going to do it, I have to really calculate if this percentage is right or not for the picture that I have, and I have to look for the name of the picture because sometimes different cameras give you different starting name sequence. But when I look for that, I find a lot of solutions like that. And this kind of solution, what makes is to boil down other solutions like cover scene. That is kind of an easy application, but it's really hard to find because when you do Google search or Go search, you only find this kind of solution. Probably if you go to the 4th or 5th page of the solution, probably you're going to find something like this, but the first page is just this kind of thing. I can do that, I use that, but I don't feel that I can extend that to somebody else. So I have this, I was doing a class in the university for marketing, and we were discussing about search engine optimization, and we were talking about friendly URLs, and I was bringing an example of a local install in my laptop, and I run into a lot of problems using Zoom because all the time that I was using before WordPress, I was just downloading that from the website. And I have this thing that WordPress told me that I have a conflict with htaccess, and I were asking in Ask Fedora project instance, and I got something like 4 different solutions, and I tried all of them, and none of those work. So I was kind of not sure about how was the packaging, why it doesn't have a small README file that I can look for configuring this. And I have to acknowledge that running WordPress for a small website is an overkill solution, but it's kind of easy. So at some point I'm feeling that I kind to get into the usual overkill solutions by myself. I was looking into make a solution for human resources, especially the part when you have to keep a file for the people that is working, because I have this ongoing, I don't know, every month or every 2 months, I have one visit from the work ministry, labor ministry, and they ask some statistical questions like how many people are women, how many people are men, how many people are in the upper management, how many people have degree, technical, and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to do a small prototype, and I'm very disappointed with this library office. They had some wizards to make some templates report, but the wizard didn't really quite work. There are some that work and some that doesn't work. That some you click the options and the option doesn't give you what you asked for. And at some point for doing reports you need to do some SQL queries, and I was kind of not really for a wizard, not really for a non-programmer, and of course I get the overkill solution to do, hey dude, install a SQL, MariaDB, Postgres, whatever, CouchDB or any desktop database and make a program for that. But as I said earlier, I am not a programmer. So I start digging what is going on with other desktop options for database, and one promising option is Gloom, and when you get into the wiki page it says exactly this. There is some unfinished Gloom user documentation and it's really unfinished, so probably not that good. And Kexi really looks nice, but it's kind of really old, so I kind of not sure about that. And there are some tools that I am reviewing that are workflow frameworks that doesn't require programming, but again that's kind of overkill solution, and I don't feel comfortable for the workflow solution really allowing me to make the reports that I want, because actually it's not the tool for the job. So probably I have been boring you with all these examples, but I think that now we have an idea of what kind of problem I am facing, and probably I'm kind of looking at that I have some discarded packages that is not longer available, some orphan package that's something understandable to happen, but I get to these not properly maintained packages like gridlock that looks like somebody just packaged that and didn't test, and I know that sometimes that happens, and well, and there is this kind of trivialized or overkill solution. They say, well, you can do this, and for instance, I feel that there is a lot of time that a system administration make a small script to solve one problem, and it didn't really keep that and develop that, because he's kind of saying this is an easy task, and wherever I need this I'm going to write a new script to solving, because most likely it won't be exactly the same thing, but probably that kind of tool might be really useful for end user. Well, this thing about not properly debugged, the other day, the first day in Flog, there was this about discoverability, the being able to discover something that you need, and sometimes it's kind of very difficult because the repository of Fedora has a lot and a lot of packages that you can try. So, and sometimes the problem is that we get used to download from source and don't try the package that are available by using Joom. And sometimes, like I feel with the base, that it's not mature enough. And I feel that it's a shame that base is not that good because the rest of the LibreOffice is really good. So this is the reason that I came up when I was looking at different examples and other examples that I didn't really feel that was kind of relevant or might be duplicated with the problem that I showed before. I don't know if you have another idea. So, how to fix this? Again, I am not really into development, so I'm not having all the answers, but I think that we have to prioritize package. For me, I think that something else like system config LVM should be there. And we agree that should be there, so when somebody is looking for something to do, we can tell that person that you can do this. And if that package is going to be orphaned, so we highly prioritize getting a new maintainer for that package that we feel that it has to be there. And I think that the way that Fedora works is that if you want to do something and it's not getting into problems with another package, with a dependency or whatever, you can do whatever you want. And sometimes that happens that it's not the other way around to say, well, what we need. But again, what we need probably is not that fun. Well, I say that about trying to run the packages and probably
well, this is supposed to be part of the packaging review.
Yeah.
And the reviewer should also try running, well, if there's something to run, it's not just library.
Yeah.
And the reviewer should run the, it wasn't even mentioned yesterday in one of the talks that it's a should item. Maybe it should be changed to must item. Because theoretically you can approve a non-working package as long as there is a bug file upstream. So
yeah, I haven't really looked deep if there is any bug reported, but what I feel is that this might be working in an old version and something changed and it's just upgrade the new version of Fedora, but not the, and probably something get broken in the way. I don't know. I didn't want to get into non-problem because there is a lot of ongoing things that are getting better in the process. I don't know, some of the screenshots that I look, they are not from NUM. They are kind of looking like XFCE. So,
well, whether the package is working or not working after all is basically quality assurance issue. And
there is no documentation for gridlock. It's in Fedora Amateur Radio documentation, but it's only a screenshot saying this, do this, and there is nothing else. And when I try to do a Google search, I only find hits for one or the other. So, yeah, I think that most of the package work well, but I happen to run into the one that doesn't run.
I think it's recurring questions of packages having to eat their own dog food or no. And I think it's a clear fact that most packages are rather overworked than underworked. In many cases it boils down to, do I want a package at all, or do I want a package where I'm 100% sure it's well maintained? And I think the other way around is getting users involved in the process and maybe learn some skills. I can't see how it can be done resource-wise. QA is overworked as well. You can't just task them with, please test every given package manually. That's just a lot of work.
Well, that's why I have this kind of idea that sometimes I have to raise my hand and say this is not working, and what happened is that somebody didn't test properly because you cannot test everything, and I get answers about that. Or take a search of your package is being used or not from the end user perspective, what people is commenting in blog post, because probably that will give you some feedback that you are not really getting from Bootzilla. I don't know, it's just my idea, and I am end user, so probably we have kind of need to meet in the middle point.
So what you just suggested is getting business metrics for how many people are actually running a piece of software.
I don't know.
I highly doubt those numbers.
Yeah, well,
they're very difficult to obtain as well, just because somebody installed it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more on anecdotal examples that you can look from web posts instead of trying to make kind of a statistical numbers that I am really sure that it cannot be done. Well, one of the things is that I have been with this friend that is a system administrator and is a developer for web systems, and he's running some WordPress sites. I don't know, he maintains something like 400 websites. It's a kind of a interesting company, and he said that he has never used WordPress from Fedora repository, and he is using Fedora. So that gives me the idea that sometimes probably people feel kind of easy to just download something like WordPress instead of installing. And somebody also told me that he's doing the same with Drupal.
Yeah, that also leads to a different problem, because most likely his servers are not running Fedora but Ashford Linux, and then he would use EPEL, and with EPEL we've got all those policy constraints and all that.
Yeah, well, I feel that some people try to run CentOS or whatever because they want things in a forget-me situation, but these people is running Fedora because they want to have the cutting-edge tools that you can find in Fedora, and they know that they have to update, and that's the thing. Well, there is plenty of solutions, and I was looking for the Fedora way of doing and try to make a blog post that you can actually configure this, and I did the blog post for WordPress because I run into problems. But yeah, I understand your point. One of the things that I think is needed is to get feedback to people reporting bugs, because sometimes you report the bugs and nothing happened, and then you get an automatic reply saying this is old version, we don't care about this anymore. And I have been kind of getting to Bootzilla to just upgrade the version to say this is still a problem in the next version, but after 3 versions I just forget about that. And I have been with so many versions along the Fedora that sometimes I really don't follow the case that long.
Trivial bug policy or patch policy, I think it's called, that may ease that problem a little bit, because there's a couple of unresponsive maintainers for minor problems too, of course.
Yeah.
But I know the situation from the other side. I'm one of those maintainers that doesn't always answer immediately. Some of those problems are not trivial, and I may answer, I'm thinking about something, but I have no proper solution to that right now. I think this is actually important to give some kind of response to the user because he feels just ignored otherwise, just like you described.
Yeah, well, I don't expect a quick reply, but at some point I was annoyed that one of my package was, one of my book report was it went as a duplicate of a problem that it was not really a duplicate, and I don't know what is the policy when you get into that, because I have found several posts and several guides to submit a book, but I don't know how to interact when my book gets duplicated and it's not really a duplicated.
I tried to reopen it. I think you can do that.
You can, as the bug reporter, you can just set it to reopened and remove the duplicate of blah blah blah.
Well, I think that some of the things that I have pointed are trivial. Probably there is kind of ongoing every FoodCom, every big activity of Fedora, it gets back to a quick fix list, but sometimes I understand that when you are making a quick fix, you say, this is too easy, I better fix it right now. And I feel that there is no kind of a unifying quick fix list to get the feeling for someone that is looking in the overlap of design and programming, or the overlap into programming and infra or whatever. But I think this is kind of those ongoing things that I don't know how it really is going to be fixed or improved.
So we recently approved a policy for easy fixes. Okay. And then the second thing that is new is, has anybody attended the talk of Pingu, how to build a GitHub clone in 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's
No,
fantastic.
I was somewhere else.
So basically it's like GitHub thing, it's an interface to Git where you can just fork a directory and then file bug reports, issues, and submit pull requests. And I suggested that we take this over, or he already had the idea before, that we take this over for packages.fedoraproject.org, that people for easy fixes, they would just file the bug in Bugzilla and or in this system, and then point me to the pull request, because I found myself in the situation that I'm maintaining a lot of packages, but I'm very busy and I get a lot of these bug reports, and I would just like to say, yeah, go ahead, if you think it builds, or if you have already tested it builds, I will just approve your change and go ahead and make it. So that should help us get rid of some of these. Not necessarily all, but 50% or something.
Yeah. Well, coming back from the first one, that if we think that we need something, probably we can look for coding opportunities like Google Code, Google Summer of Code, or something like that. There are several different programs for getting somebody to fix something, to make a new tool. But I feel this is kind of a sprint. You take one thing for a short time and you get it done, but probably it's not in the long run for have this maintained. So I'm not sure about that, but probably it will help. And at some time, I think that if it's not really fun and nobody is picking this up, or even if it's too big to be addressed in a sprint, probably it needs to be somebody to be hired to do so, or trying to sponsor that kind of response. That I think this can be the solution for the problem of LibreOffice base, because it's a big work to solve that. So in any case, what I want is to avoid overkill solution, because I really standing in the user standpoint, and I think that I learned a lot from Fedora, but I still can't to put myself in the position of I am sharing this with a user. Really, this person is able to solve the problem that I am solving somehow. And that's the way that I feel, that I want to show people that I really can solve all my problems with Fedora in any way. So I don't know if there is more questions or comments. So thank you very much for your time and your attention.